Gujarati ma'am. She is a professor and Dean International Affairs, President, Conference Chair, Tradepreneur Global Academic Platform, UK. She is a researcher, teacher, educator, and an administrator. She has managerial skills in direction of achieving the goal of success. She has significantly contributed to enhancing management understanding by participating in over 200 management conferences, symposia, and seminars, by chairing technical sessions and delivering plenary and invited talks. She has specialized in international business, marketing, and finance. She has about 150 papers published in international journal and 140 papers in national journal and various chapters in book. She is a life member of All India Commerce Association, All India Accounting Association, and Association of Principal. She is also a member of the editorial board of various international journals. With this, I would like to invite Professor Dr. Rashmi Gujarati, ma'am. Ma'am, please.
Thank you very much. And good morning, everyone.
Good morning,
And warm welcome our guest on behalf of City University, India. As this summit is going to organize with association, UN partner, and Tradepreneur Global Academic Platform and University of Molise, Italy. As we know that UN has took the agenda in 2015, and the agenda has UN Sustainable Development Goals 17, and the agenda UN member has took, and they have to complete it up to 2030, which set out in 15-year plan to achieve the goals. Today, progress is being made in many places, but overall action to meet the goals is not yet advancing the speed of scale required to meet the goals in yet advancing at the speed. 2020 needs to usher in the decades of ambitious actions to deliver goals by 2030. In our second international summit, we have focused on goal 8, which is related with the decent work and economic development. As we know that economic is a very important for each country, and every country is focusing to the develop of their country. Due to pandemic, all country is facing for an economic situation, and all country is trying to boost their economy. Economic growth should be a positive force for the whole planet. This is why we must make sure that financial progress creates decent and fulfilling jobs while not harming the environment. We must protect labor's rights and wants, and for all put a stop to modern slavery and child labor. If we promote job creation with expanded access to the banking and the financial, we can make sure that everybody get benefits of entrepreneurship and innovation. We have heard time to time and again that the role youth is critical when it becomes to building a greenery, fairer, and more just world, and while that statement is true, its executions can often feel very well. But the World Economic Forum Globe Shaper Community is proof of the vital role of young people around the world have been, are, and will continue to play the pursuits to build a better world for everyone and everywhere. This community, over the 14,000 ambitious, driven, and passionate individuals, is proof that change is possible through strong partnership. In UN Sustainable Development Goals, there are 17 goals, as we know very well. We have took the 8th goal, which is related with the decent goal. In the 8th goal, there are 12 targets which has been taken. It is related with the sustainable economic development, diversity, innovation, and upgrade for economic productivity, job creation and growth enterprises, improve resource efficiency in the consumption and production, full employment and decent work with equal pay, promotion youth employment, education and training and modern slavery, traffic and child labor, protect labor rights and promote safe working environment, universal access to banking, insurance and financial services, increase for trade support, and develop a global youth employment strategy. This is a very big task in one goal which has been taken. In the previous summit, our first summit, which has been held on in June, in that we have focused on each and every goal, but in every goal there have a 10 to 12 targets. So this time we are focusing on the economic development, because whole world is facing for the economic and whole world is trying to boost their economic. So with us, we have a eminent speakers from around the world. Globally, our speakers has joined this event, and with 12 targets. Our speakers are from UK, USA, Greece, Maldives, Malaysia, Iran, Iraq, India, Oman, Egypt, Turkey, Indonesia. On behalf of CT Group of Institution, on behalf of Tradepreneur Global Academic Platform, which is associated with UN partner, I welcome all my guests and speakers in this events, and I hope that our students will learn a lot, because our speakers are from the reputed universities from around the world. So global, Tradepreneur Global means the working is a globally, and the students are also join here as a globally. So I welcome all the guests, speakers and all students, those who have joined these events. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Ashmi.
Thank you so much, ma'am. With this, I would like to invite With this, I would like to introduce Dr. Francisca de Virgo. She is an associate professor of organization design and human resource management in the Department of Economics at University of Milan, Italy. National habilitation as full professor of organization design and human resource management from the Italian Ministry of University and Research. She has more than 20 years of teaching experience at undergraduate and graduate level and masters. She is a member of the Association of Italian Organization Studies Academics. Ma'am, I would like you to please say some few words.
Yes, thank you for your introduce. Greetings from Italy. I'm very honored today to participate in this very prestigious international summit, not only for the focus is very important in this period where in the world, each country, Italy, Europe, also other countries are focused on pandemic, because there is also in this period coming again in Italy. So my participation, I'm grateful to Rashim City University. My participation is joined to our memorandum of understanding between my University of Italy and City University. This is the first step to achieve a great goal between our university. To sharing knowledge, experience, exchange, professor, student. I think soon then then this period, this terrible period linked to pandemic and COVID. So I grateful and I'm honored also for my rector, because I'm a rector delegate for placement and transfer technology. Today, my rector is busy in Italy for other activity. So I represent my university, a whole department. The presentation is very well from in the opening on this discussion. So for me, it's important to share and to focus about the goal 8, the decent work, and to talk about our research in Italy in this period regarding this goal 8. I'm professor of human resource management and organizational design, so the role of decent work is a role in this year is very important to develop new research. In particular, I want to share my presentation. Okay. It's not possible. So you talk about this. Our research about the decent work is linked to the productive employment, in particular the impact of artificial intelligence on job engagement and employee trust, because it's important to talk about artificial intelligence regarding this goal, because this goal, the decent work in the future, is more connected to new technology. To talk about, to promote and to include sustainable economic growth, is necessary to talk about decent work and to talk how new technology, for example, artificial intelligence, impact on the job. The concept of decent work has been championed by the International Labour Organization, by researcher, practitioner, and draw attention to the quality of the employment or work. But the quality of employment or work is different for each country. My focus in particular is for Italy and for Europe. And the role of the sense of security or social protection is very important for in all sector, public, private sector, small firms. For example, in Italy, there are many small firms, so the situation doesn't work. It's focused on the workers and the role of worker to introduce new technology in each firm, in each firm. So specifically, decent work is occupation where the work is meaningful, the income is good, and the job meets the worker's expectation and aspiration. So there are many issues unresolved in Italy, in Europe, and in the world. So this opportunity to share our activity in research, for example, and also in each country, is very a precious moment. The employment literature is the extent to emerging work practice. So this practice is connected to job engagement and also employee trust. But in this new scenario, during pandemic periods, emerge important aspect connected to human resource management, the soft skills, because decent work is connected to soft skill of each employee, of each worker. And artificial intelligence is challenging the foundation of business and changing the way people work globally. So there are the network, for example, today, thanks to technology, I'm from Italy and I'm talking with other colleagues in the world. I connect to India. In other people, this opportunity is impossible for our university. So the adoption of artificial intelligence in the workplace is likely to accelerate current trend, increasing autonomy work practice, for example, the routine in the practice. So it's important to study very well the connection to this increased work autonomy and the quality of employment outcome for workers and the role of artificial intelligence. In particular, some scholars predict that artificial intelligence, there are the study very interesting, at work will affect the nature of task and not the job, because more workers associate the concept of artificial intelligence in the practice to a bad use of this technology. Does technology advancement in the organization lead to the acceleration of changes? Does artificial intelligence drive technological advancement or acceleration in organization? For example, in small firms, new startup, improve organization effectiveness and cause numerous change in the behavior. For example, in expectation of employee, customer, and other market players. Artificial intelligence drive technological advancement on the relation among a psychological contract. I want to focus few minutes about this important aspect of human resource management, because psychological contracts as employee perception about the relationship with the employer. Psychological contracts can assume two forms, transaction or relationship contract. A transaction contract are characterized by short-term monetary scope with a little mutual involvement. Transactional contracts are different in each country, but this aspect of short time is connected to low satisfaction, is connected to low goal, low performance in each firms. Another aspect very important and connect to psychological contracts is the relationship between employee and employer in another formal or relational contract. Relational contracts is a long-term connection the employee with their firm. The focus are associated with the mutually positive outcomes for both employee and workers, whereas transactional contracts is different because the materialistic and the short-term focus are associated with more negative outcomes, include lower engagement and commitment. Why is it important to talk about engagement, commitment in the set work? Is associated with soft skills, because the future in our organization is a long term to achieve great performance and to stay in the market, in the world. So examine this relationship, it was in many research in my area regarding human resource management, and to specify the difference of psychological contract in each country. So this opportunity to talk about decent work in different countries is connect to analyze the difference of psychological contracts, where is difference because it difference the culture, is difference the law, the contract, the dimension of firms. For example, in Italy, 90% of firms are small firms. The number of employees is from 2 employees to 8 employees. So the dynamics, the relationship, and the introduce artificial intelligence is different for another firms, international firms, for example, Unilever, Procter & Gamble in the world. So this opportunity in international conference had to connect research, to connect studies about the role of decent work in the future, to have the best basis in all research. I think it's important to analyze the role of employee engagement, the employee trust, and the role of soft skill in the world, for example, also in India, in other parts where the culture, religion, the use, the work is very different. I want to close my presentation, my speak note, because for me it's important to share the focus on my research in Italy, to contribute, to have a contribute to this great international conference summit. Again, I'm honored and proud to be a part of this great community with colleagues in the world. I hope in the future to have the opportunity to write together for research. I'm available about this, available my university. My contact, you can write to me to receive the contact, my mail for future activity, also to organize other great conference as this opportunity, as this international summit. Thank you very much for this great space and for these minutes.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thanks a lot. Now I would like to invite Dr. Habil Henrietta Nagy, Associate Professor of Pilioni Giannis University, Hungary. She has been working in higher education for 20 years. Her main research fields are regional policy, rural development, local economic development. She has over 230 publications, including 70 journal articles in high-ranked journals. She has 19 publications in Scopus and has over 800 citations. She has been the keynote speaker of several international conferences and workshops. In addition to teaching, she was responsible for the development of international relations at 2 universities over 19 years as a vice dean and vice rector. She has been the leader or researcher in several international research projects funded by the European Commission, International Visegrad Fund, or other organizations. She has a broad international scientific network. Ma'am, I would like to invite you to please have your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon in India. Thank you very much, first of all, for inviting me to this conference, Professor Rashmi. I remember when we had the UN summit about the 17 goals held in June, which was very successful. And now during this conference, we are focusing on goal 8, decent work and economic growth. Thank you very much again. It is a great pleasure to represent Kodály János University, Hungary, during this summit. As we experienced after the 2008-2009 global economic crisis, in 2019, another crisis hit the world, we all know, which has influenced all the fields of the economy and had and still has serious impact on the society. The pandemic has had very serious influence on the businesses, organizations, as well as on the everyday life of the population, though the impact may vary from region to region, from country to country. As we all have experienced, almost all the fields of life have changed due to the pandemic, and it requires new solutions, innovations, creative ideas to bring our lives back to the one before March 2020. Based on current statistics, the pandemic has led to the loss of 255 million full-time jobs worldwide, which is 4 times higher than that over the 2008-2009 global economic crisis. We can see that economic recovery is underway, but for many countries, economic growth is expected to return to pre-pandemic levels only in 2022 or 2023. We can see that in general, the service industry, including tourism, suffered the most worldwide. International tourism is not expected to return to 2019 levels for up to 4 years. So in general, the pandemic brought unfavorable situation, though there are businesses that could take benefit from this new normal situation. There are discussions ongoing whether we must bring all the elements of our former life back, or rather must think about new ideas and search for new ways. I believe that the best solution is to combine the two. However, we can state that only those can have successful strategy to develop who can adapt to the changing environment the most. The extent of the impact surely depends on the specific economic and social conditions of the region that determine the adaptability to the new tendencies. Regardless the sector or the size of the businesses, there is one thing in common. All the businesses had to be creative, innovative, and had to have strategy for short and middle term. If they didn't have such, they faced serious difficulties, and some might have even had to stop their activities. The pandemic didn't only have negative effects, but encouraged and motivated the business players, the policymakers, as well as the population to think, act, and strongly cooperate in an unprecedented situation for the benefits of all. Based on the statistics so far, the pandemic has put all actors in the economy to the test. In addition to their previous roles, businesses had to prove themselves in new areas. In addition to ensuring financial and economic stability, the protection of the physical and mental health of workers and partners has also received a great deal of attention. Of course, this role was valid for all economic actors, regardless of size, sector, or form of operation. Crisis management for businesses has drawn attention not only to the challenges, but also to the opportunities that, in addition to being a way out of the situation, offers stability and growth potential. During this summit, we need to highlight the role of education as well, especially of higher education institutions in sharing knowledge to facilitate the population to find the most proper jobs, decent work. There is general consensus in the literature on innovation-oriented development, that the utilization of a regional knowledge base, innovation potential, and cooperation between businesses and research institutions continues to play an increasing role, not only with regard to business success, but also in the competitive economic performance of a region. In many regions, universities are viewed as the core of the knowledge base and at the heart of the knowledge economy, acting as an element of innovation systems, supporting science and innovation-based regional growth. Universities and research institutes as knowledge centers extending and disseminating comprehensive scientific information are playing increasing role in regional development, thus in the development of businesses operating in the region. Despite of the fact that universities always highlight their international acknowledgement and internationalization endeavors, most of the higher education institutions are embedded in their own region and significantly contribute to its economic and social development by maintaining local jobs, diversifying the local economy, as well as by attracting investors to the region. So nowadays, in the globalized world, there is increasing competition to reach qualified labor force and the intellectual added values. Since nowadays the value of intellectual capital has higher priority than the physical resources, a shift towards the significance of universities can be observed, since they are the institutions where the knowledge generation and dissemination are carried out, being the basis for the knowledge-based society. However, it has been getting more and more important how the higher education institutions' impact on the region's economy and society can be really measured. We need to emphasize that there is no successful university now without strong business cooperation in both education and research. Universities have extremely important role in the development of their regions, especially if they are located in the rural areas. The FAO and the UNESCO emphasize that a community cannot foster development without an educated population. Businesses, large or small, are unlikely to choose to invest in rural areas if skilled or trainable human resources are unavailable. Similarly, a community cannot retain educated people without an attractive economic environment. It is obvious that knowledge, skills, and competencies acquired through any formal, informal, and non-formal education are considered one of the most significant economic and social factors contributing to the development of the countryside. So knowledge transfer or knowledge exchange helps to continue growing a sustainable rural area and also contributes to finding more of the long-term solutions that rural residents can offer to society. In an OECD report 2021, it is highlighted that in order to maintain quality services in rural regions or close gaps further exposed by the pandemic, governments must develop innovative responses tailored to the specificities of rural places and the long-term challenges they face. So overall, I would like to emphasize the role of academicians, expert researchers like you here at this event, universities and businesses in this complex development approach to intend to reach our goal, namely sustainable development. So I wish you good presentations and discussions for the sessions. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Our next speaker for today's event is Dr. Elena Perkarva, Associate Professor, Deputy Head of Management Department, National Economic University, named after Vadim Hetman, Ukraine. She is member of the Faculty of Management Council, member of the University Scientific and Methodical Council, lecturer on business strategy, change management, and strategic management at the bachelor, MPA, and master's and PhD levels as well. She developed the distance course strategic management for the master students in Ukraine. Ma'am, I welcome you in this platform.
Thank you very much for the invitation and for the introduction. Dear friends, my report is about Sustainable Development Goal 8.6, promote youth employment, education, and training. What is the plan? First of all, about why this goal is actual, then some statistics about youth employment, education, and training in the world, then a situation about youth employment in Ukraine, in my native country, and lastly, my proposals how to improve the situation with this important sustainable development goal. First of all, why this goal is actual? Because poverty is a great problem all over the world. Nowadays, about 2.2 billion people in the world live below the poverty line, getting less than $2 per day. So we have to overload the poverty, and one way how to do it is to give people stable and good paid jobs. Next moment, how many working places do we need? globally, in the period to the year 2030, we have to create 470 million working places, only just to cover population of working age growth in the whole world. So the task is to create about 30 million new jobs annually. Next, but it is only a half of the task, because approximately 780 million people all over the world are employed, but they do not earn sufficient funds, payment for their jobs. And we have to invest in improving working conditions. Decent work. Our colleagues told today about decent work. Yes, of course, it is very important to achieve this sustainable development goal, because people have not only to be employed, but they have to get sufficient income for their work, which will guarantee their social protection of workers and their families, and provide better prospects for personal development and social integration. According to statistics, the average share of youth in the whole labor force in the countries of the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development is nearly 10%. But in many countries, this share is more than 20 and even more than 30%. So it is a very important goal to give education and employment, good jobs for these people. As usual, the level of education and the level of employment or unemployment are correlated. As usual, as higher education level, the better employment conditions, jobs, salaries, incomes, and so on. Again, according to the statistics, the employees who have educational level below upper secondary, the unemployment rate is nearly 12% in the countries of Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development. But in many countries, this rate is much higher. For example, in South Africa, it is more than 30%. So it is a very important task to give people education and good jobs. Nextly, if we analyze statistics by countries, what share of youth not in education, employment, or training as a percent of youth population, we may find that in such countries as Afghanistan, Laos, and Tajikistan, this share is nearly 42%. Let's imagine 42% of youth population are not in education, employment, or training. In other countries, the situation is different, but not ideal. I was surprised that in my native country, in Ukraine, this share is more than 16%. It is comparable with the situation in United States, where this share is nearly 18%. More than 10% in United Kingdom, and a very good, close to ideal situation is in Netherlands, where this share is only 4.3%. and all of us have to tend to have the same situation with youth which is not in employment and education. In my native country, youth unemployment is nearly 2 times higher than average in employees of all ages. For example, last year, unemployment rate average among all age groups was 8.6%, but youth unemployment rate was 15.4%. So it is 2 times higher. And yes, of course, it is a great problem. At the same time, I know that official employment in our country is not very high and not corresponds to the real situation, because a lot of people have unofficial employment, but this situation is characteristic for all age groups, not only to youth. So unemployment rate among young people is very high, and we have to invest in education and employment of this young generation in order not to lose them. And finally, after these not good statistics, how can we improve this situation with youth employment and education? First of all, countries and governments have to invest in education and professional training of the highest possible quality, which will help youth to acquire skills appropriate to labor market requirements and to get access to social protection and basic services. Secondly, countries and governments have to create equal opportunities for young people to find productive work, regardless of gender, income level, or socio-economic status. What we, educators, universities, can do to improve this situation in this field. I think that we have to develop open educational and professional training courses, which will help youth to acquire necessary knowledge and skills for the future employment. And we have to create consulting centers for youth on employment and entrepreneurship. And finally, short information about me and my university experience in entrepreneurship education development in our country. 2 years ago, we submitted the proposal for the Erasmus Plus key activities to capacity building in higher education joint projects, which named our project topic was entrepreneurial education ecosystem development. We formed the project group, which includes universities and companies from Ukraine, Belarus, Slovakia, Italy, Bulgaria. We didn't win funding 2 years ago, but we are doing all our best to prepare the same proposal and submit it to the next year. And what are the main points of our project proposal? We propose to develop curricula on entrepreneurship education. We plan to manage online and offline entrepreneurship education platform for youth, first of all, and to create consulting centers for youth entrepreneurship development. And we are looking for new partners. First of all, I think we will invite our potential partners from India to join our project, and the terms and priorities of Erasmus Plus will be published at the end of this month of November. And we are looking for the fruitful partnership, which will partly solve the problem of youth education and employment. It's all. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now let's commence with the target 8.1, Sustainable Economic Growth. I would like to invite Dr. Raina Lampau, STEM instructor, neuroeducation researcher, Greek Ministry of Education and Religious Affairs, Noble, Greece. Ma'am, over to you, please.
Greetings from Greece. I'm very, very honored and very excited to be present today at this significant event about Sustainable Development Goal 8. And today we're going to explore multiple aspects of sustainable economic development and sustainable economic growth, which is nowadays interrelated with new concepts such as green economy, social economy, inclusive economy, digital economy, and entrepreneurship. And we're going to review also the new structural policy priorities for the recovery from the COVID pandemic proposed worldwide and in particular in Europe. So may I share my presentation? Can you enable my share screening? Can you make me co-host in order to present?
I'm asking to make you co-host.
Because me too, I want to present
Yeah.
possible. The platform is no try to present.
Okay, so I'm not able to present.
Yes, ma'am, please wait for a while. I'm asking the team.
Sir, co-host बना दो मैडम को.
Okay, is it visible now? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So economic growth is closely linked to increasing production, consumption, and resource use, which has negative effects on nature, climate, and human health. Moreover, current research suggests that it's unlikely that economic growth can be completely detached from its environmental impacts. And various ideas in theory have been presented to rethink economic growth and societal growth and progress. Green growth, donut economics, post-growth and degrowth, all these agendas share similar aims but diverge in their means to achieve sustainability goals. Economic growth is highly also correlated with indicators for human well-being, such as life expectancy and education. At the same time, Europe's fundamental values, such as human dignity, freedom, democracy, are not materialistic. And maintaining high social, health, environmental standards does not have to depend on economic growth. Political initiatives for a sustainable future require not only technological change, but also changes in consumption and social practices. The challenge is actually to innovate lifestyles that consume less, but are attractive to individuals without an environmental or ideological interest. So could, for instance, the European Green Deal become a catalyst for a society that consumes less and grows in other than material dimensions? We have seen new narratives also. The world is undergoing rapid change and numerous drivers of change interact in a highly complex interplay of human needs, desires, activities, and technologies, and contribute to the great acceleration of human consumption. And this dynamics has actually to have to change. So what happens here? Governments, scientists, non-governmental organizations worldwide are coming together to try to devise new ideas, policies, and blueprints and narratives. And this narrative is a part of a series which is called Narratives for Change, which is published by European Environment Agency. And this actually presents alternative perspectives on economic growth and human progress and explores the diversity of ideas needed to transform our society towards sustainability goals and fulfill the ambitions of the European Green Deal. This comes at a crucial time for the European Union, which actually faces urgent challenges and opportunities associated with fundamental change. And we have recently, in November 2021, the European Green Deal is actually a set of policy initiatives by the European Commission with the overarching aim of making the European Union climate neutral in 2015. It's an impact assessed plan will be presented to increase the European Union's greenhouse gas emission reductions target for 2030, at least 50%. Actually, how can society develop and grow in quality? This is a question rather in quantity, in more equitable way. High-level policies, as I said before, the European Deal, United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, propose also what we call decoupling of economic growth and resource use as a solution. While some European countries achieved actually a reduction in some forms of pollution between 1995 and the mid-2010, such as greenhouse emissions. However, the decoupling between growth, environmental footprints such as water, materials, energy, greenhouse gas associated with European Union consumption patterns is often relative and varies between countries. So actually we could say that a global scale, long-lasting and absolute decoupling may not be possible. Globally, this growth has not been decoupled from resource consumption, environmental pressures, and it is not likely to become so. The global material footprint, gross domestic product, and greenhouse gases emissions have increased rapidly over time and strongly correlate. So Europe consumes more and contributes more to environmental degradation than other regions, and Europe's prospects or reaching its environmental policy objectives are very poor. So here you can see also a figure shows this relative change in main global economic environmental indicators until 2018. And also we'll talk about circular economy. If economic growth cannot be decoupled, as I said before, from resource use, can the use of existing resources be extended within the economy? Circular economy policies aim actually to improve waste management and induce responsible production and consumption cultures. The circular economy, however, may not deliver a transformation to sustainability if circularity measures fuel a growth strategy that leads to increased material consumption. And this concept actually suggests that material resources could be increasingly sourced from within the economy, reducing environmental impact by increasing the reuse and recycle of materials. However, this concept has a limited potential for sustainability as it is revealed actually, because at the scale of the whole economy, only around 12% of the material input was being recycled in the European Union in 2019, according to Eurostat. And given current product design and waste management technologies, recycling rates of materials such as plastics, you can see paper, glass, metals, was not, here you can see 3% only for recycling, 9% for biomass, metals, etc. So recycled material means a meager portion of material throughput. So the low potential for circularity is because a very large share of primary material throughput is composed of energy carriers integrated through use as explained by the laws of thermodynamics and cannot be recycled, and construction materials. Also, you can see that we have many avenues for rethinking growth and progress. Historically, modern states embraced economic thought, but focused on economic growth and conceptualized social and environmental programs. As a result, growth is culturally, politically, and institutionally ingrained. Worldwide, the legitimacy of governments cannot be separated, of course, from their ability to deliver economic growth and provide employment. So recent decades have seen a variety of initiatives to rethink economics. It is actually a movement, and develop theoretical perspectives that combine attention to the legitimate needs of the present human population with the need for a transformation to a sustainable future. We have concepts like donut economics and other also perspectives. Embracing transition studies, post-normal science, ecological economics, and resilience studies. So the challenge in coming years is what? Is actually how to bring all these new insights, modern insights, into mainstream policy processes and consider how they can be operationalized effectively in support of Europe's sustainability objectives. Social, political, technological innovation is called to translate alternative ideas about growth into new ways of living. Here you can see this new perspective: degrowth, post-growth, green growth, very, very trendy here, and donut economics. Green growth, for instance, we know that 20 years after the first Rio summit, the world continues to face twin challenges: expanding economic opportunities, but at the same time address environmental pressures. So green growth means fostering economic growth and development while ensuring that natural assets continue to provide the resources, environmental services on which our well-being relies. So green growth is actually not a replacement for sustainable development. Rather, it provides a practical and flexible approach for achieving concrete, measurable progress across its economic environmental pillars, while taking full account of the social consequences of greening the growth dynamic of economies. The focus of green growth strategies is ensuring that natural assets can deliver the full economic potential on a sustainable basis. And what is the aim? Of course, to enhance productivity by creative incentives for greater efficiency in the use of natural resources, boost investor confidence through greater predictability in how governments deal with major issues, opening up new markets by stimulating demand for schools, services, technologies, contributing to fiscal consolidation, reducing risks of negative shocks to growth due to resource bottleneck, as well as damaging and potentially irreversible environmental impacts. So all the strategies for greener growth need, of course, to be tailored to fit the specific country circumstances, and this should be done very carefully. So what happens now in the COVID pandemic? The COVID pandemic has wreaked havoc across the globe since 2020. Uncertainty about the health and economic prospects remains elevated until now, and the COVID pandemic exposed actually structural weaknesses of our economies. Many of them, weaknesses were pre-existing challenges, which have increased the short-term costs of crisis and risk, leaving long-term consequences on growth, well-being, and sustainability. And as the rollout of vaccination gradually instills hope, policy focus should turn to recovery packages that provide the foundations for stronger, more equitable, and more sustainable medium-term growth. When they prepare and implement policies for the recovery, policymakers have the opportunity to shape the quality and strength of post-COVID growth. And the pandemic actually, we know that many economies are prepared and existing structural weaknesses amplified this shock. Healthcare systems, often under pressure due to years of budgetary restrictions, proved ill-prepared for a global pandemic of such a scale. Very, very important is ineffective social safety nets. In many countries, mainly this left people exposed to risks of poverty due to income loss. Pandemic-induced lockdowns highlighted gaps in social safety nets, leading governments to step in with massive generalized policy support. And this COVID hit low-income earners, informal, non-starter contract workers, women, migrants, children and youth, and those with disabilities and chronic health conditions particularly hard. These groups were already vulnerable prior to the crisis, with weaker coverage in social safety nets in many countries. So the pandemic risks undergoing progress on labor market inclusion and poverty eradication. Several other sources of vulnerability, of course, were very highlighted: concerns over temporary shortages in certain goods. And this also, we can see how global production networks were disrupted. However, we can say that we know that the diversified global value chains can mitigate shocks and help companies and countries to recover faster, for example, in the supply of essential goods. Vulnerabilities also emerge from digital security risks, which increase with digital transformation, but also with inefficiency and obsolescence of legal and judicial systems to pursue them. Another problem was limited digital skills, and access to digital infrastructure became particularly evident. A number of these problems weighed on slowing productivity growth prior to the pandemic, population aging, and deepening inequality. At the same time, the pandemic accelerated digital trends, which also would provide opportunities in terms of organization of work and teaching, such as consumption also patterns. And this will have long-term impact on the need for physical presence at the workplace for many, possibly leading to less commuting. And in some sectors also, it brought disruptive innovation, and there are now high expectations that such disruption will entail a digital dividend. So the pandemic is accelerated digitalization, has encouraged a wave of experimentation with many novel modes of business, of work, of consumption, from which new habits may form. And this could present opportunities to revive productivity growth via technological adoption within industry reallocation. We've seen also increases in unemployment, and bankruptcies threaten to scar the prospects of those who struggle to enter or re-enter the labor market, while the lockdowns widened education gaps and aggravate physical and mental health of the vulnerable in the long term. So this recession risks leaving lasting economic and social scars. Labor market entry during a downturn carries persistent adverse consequences for individual earnings and employment. Large-scale investment and support in recovery packages provide opportunity to boost growth, but also enhance resilience, inclusiveness, and address environmental sustainability challenges. Fiscal and monetary policies are also supporting the economies, and new policies have a role to play. Weak reallocative capacity risks deepening the scars from the pandemic. This weak reallocative capacity can imply that economies are fully prepared to face any pandemic-related restructuring, as well as the digital and green transitions, which may amplify scaring effects, mute wage and career prospects, and hinder economic growth. We talk also about this green transition as restructuring challenges. Policy intervention investments will play a key role in steering this transition. Why? Because we see that although we had some initial drop in emissions during the COVID pandemic, this was only temporary, and also annual global energy investment will need to roughly double until 2050. The transition towards global net zero emissions will rely on acceleration in green innovation, and part of the shift will be accommodating through downsizing or exit of polluting companies and less productive ones that cannot accommodate such investments. So we need actually structural policies, because structural policies here can play a crucial role in shaping the recovery and bring long-lasting benefits. And this pandemic highlights the lack of resilience, as I said before. It's interesting to say that some Asian countries with past epidemic experiences have coped better, for example, via early warning systems, stocks of personal protective equipment, decisive testing, tracing, and isolation. Here we have, in April 2021, the Organization for Economic Cooperation Development released the Goal for Growth 2020 report, which is very interesting to see why this report identifies how countries can build resilience and sustainability, raise productivity, and help people and businesses adapt to the changes underway in our economies. This actually report illustrates a new policy emphasis on resilience, environmental sustainability, and gives advice on structural policy priorities for the recovery. Because resilience is built through strong growth, effectiveness, and the ability to reallocate resources swiftly, reducing harmful frictions that hamper the response to change. And these policies for stronger, more sustainable growth are very, very important and support the economy's ability to bounce back strongly and rapidly beyond the immediate crisis-related interventions, including the need to maintain highly macroeconomic policy settings for some time. We need also medium-term objectives in order to speed up and shape a vibrant recovery. So we talk about resilience, build resilience and sustainability, the capacity resilience to detect and avoid risk, reduce the negative impacts of shocks, and recover faster and stronger. Structural policies can improve the first line of defense to shocks, healthcare and social safety nets, crucial infrastructure, and strengthen the private sector's incentives to take into account longer-term sustainability considerations. Very important, facilitate reallocation. Also, it's interesting to boost productivity. Steering growth is more resilient and includes direction requires shifting allocation of resources. And this means removing policy barriers where they are for companies to become more dynamic, innovative, and greener, thereby facilitating the allocation of resources. Supporting people through transitions. That means that policies should ensure that people are not left behind in transitions, so that reallocation is socially productive and builds resilience. This requires investments in skills, training, and more generally, easing access to quality jobs, particularly amongst vulnerable groups. And of course, the national cooperation here is very important. Spanning healthcare, climate change, trade, and taxation, all that can enhance the effectiveness of domestic policies. And all other, here we can see packaging structural reforms, that fiscally expansionary, public infrastructure investment reforms to improve people's prospects about education, rules of law, policies to address economic inclusion for people, education reforms, preventing health policies, policies to address also activation policies for strengthening of skills, introduction of strengthening job conditions, reforms to achieve more growth-friendly tax structures, and other kind of policies. So here we can see how all these policies to build resilience should be the first line of protection. Can mitigate future risks, very important to enhance trust and credibility with public governments and rules of law. Remove obstacles, eliminate barriers to trade, reduce barriers to entry, direct and facilitate green recovery, protective, as I said before, low-income workers. Before concluding, I want to say that during the COVID pandemic, we have seen all these new concepts of entrepreneurship. Nowadays, we talk about green entrepreneurship, inclusive entrepreneurship, social entrepreneurship, digital entrepreneurship. So we have seen all these efforts in order to have a progress in the implementation of entrepreneurship policies, to formulate national entrepreneurship strategies, enhance entrepreneurship education, very important to integrate entrepreneurship education in curriculum at all levels of education, facilitate technology change innovation, because we talked about how digitalization is a new now normal at all sectors, how to improve access to finance and to markets. Networking is very, very important now because markets have expanded their audience. We'll talk about new markets now. Promoting inclusive, as I said before, entrepreneurship, social entrepreneurship for vulnerable groups, and green entrepreneurship also. And for developing countries, essential elements is accountable countries to have, in order to have sustainable economic growth in developing countries, we need accountable countries, open, effective markets, infrastructure, capable human capital, equality of opportunity, sound environmental management. Apart from this, here I want to say that in a first step to identify viable opportunities for developing countries is to have effective policy institutions, the rule of law, political stability that enhance economic growth. And for us, as I said before, skilled workforce, women play a central role as income earners. Agriculture, which is the largest economic sector in many developing countries. For concluding, I would say that we have a notion of sustainable consumption is very, very important. This means that we need to have a wise habits of consumption, not only in a macroeconomic level, that means that companies need to be socially responsible. So we have the concept of corporate social responsibility for companies, but we as individuals need to adopt these wise consumption ways. I think that the new normal, as I said before, as I always in my presentations, COVID pandemic for me is a great opportunity to bring forward long-awaited reforms for the development of economy, societies, and education. So I think Albert Einstein said that crisis is always a blessing because after crisis there is always a progress. So I think that it's an opportunity to, through this crisis, to bring forward long-awaited reforms and to promote all this new vision of a green, social, economic, inclusive, and digital economy. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for the lovely presentation. Now let's commence with the target 8.2, diversify, innovate, and upgrade for economic productivity. Our next speaker for today's event is Al Rubai Ahmed Hussein Radhi, Director of Control and Internal Auditor, University of Baghdad, Iraq. He has a doctorate degree in accounting from University of Craiova in Romania and has many scientific research published in international journals and Scopus journals, and participation in international conferences and local symposia as well. Sir, over to you, please.
Hello, everyone. First, we would like to thank the president of City University, Ljubljana, and especially thanks and respect for Professor Rashmi and for all who collaboration to hold this great event. And thank you for all who attended this event, and my thanks for inviting me to this prestigious platform and to bring all together in this scientific event. We are proud to share research in the economic field, and we hope to continue and develop scientific cooperation between India and Iraq, especially between City University of Ljubljana and the University of Baghdad. The scientific collaboration is based on the two countries' cultural heritage and trust and respect of national values that serve science and humanity. Cultural beliefs are based on from generation to generation and to reflection of similarity in culture between India and Iraq is distinctly prominent. We all devoted to our family. We all are devoted to our family and our country, and for this reason, we will do our best for promoted and implemented sustainable projects, starting from the mission and the objective of the City University Ljubljana, and from the topic of this prestigious conference, we will present some details about diversity, innovate and upgrade for economic productivity in this presentation. Please, could you please allow me to share my presentation? Pardon, you hear me?
Yes, you can share.
Okay, thanks a lot. Make share. Okay, it's okay now?
Yes.
Okay.
Visible.
Thanks a lot. Diversity, innovate. I took the same address for my presentation. Diversity, innovate, and upgrade for economic productivity. Introduction. Decades of research have highlighted the impact of innovation, especially technological innovation, on economic growth, as research and development efforts and innovation contribute effectively to the production of new technology, new products, or new technological process that give countries competitive advantage. In light of new and endless change and development, and in a period witnessing rapid technological change and intense competition between economic institutions and countries. If these institutions and countries want to impose themselves and maintain their durability, they must achieve a new competitive advantage every time, whether by producing a new product or improving it or changing production methods. And this does not come except through interest in the function of research, development, and innovation. Technical progress. Economic theory indicates that technical progress is a major source of productivity growth, and that an effective innovation system is the key to technical progress, and an innovation system refers to the network of institutions, rules, and procedures that affect the way knowledge is acquired, disseminated, and used. An effective innovation system provides an environment that fosters research and development, which leads to new goods, inputs, or processes, and thus constitutes a major source of technical progress. According to 2017 study by Chang, Jing, Wei, Zhang, Xai, and Xia Obo, Zhang, developed countries such as the United States of America, Japan, and Germany in 2014 spent more than 2.7% of their GDP in research and development, which is almost 50% more than the average expenditure of the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development countries, which amounted to about 1.9% in 2014, is 3 times what the developing countries spent, at a cumulative rate of 1.759% from $714 in 1980 to $1,377 in 2015. In terms of international purchasing power parity value in 2011. This increase was the result of productivity growth from innovations within sectors and a relocation of resources from sectors with lower productivity to sector with the highest productivity, that is characterized by knowledge industries. Innovation. Therefore, innovation has become inevitable in the knowledge economy because the level of the economy of any country necessarily depends at the present time on the ability of its public and private institution to add innovative value to all activities in order to achieve sustainable economic growth. And that laying the foundation for sustainable development based on innovation is more important than ever. Therefore, attention must be paid to this pillar because it constitutes a driving force for creating economic growth that support the process of sustainable development, which revolves around achieving self-reliant sustainability. Skills. The human element plays an important role in economic development through minds and trained labor, which are characterized by the skill that has accumulated over time. Skills development is key to improving productivity. Productivity, in turn, is an important source for improving living standards and increasing growth. Other key factors include macroeconomic policies aimed to maximize poor employment, growth opportunities, and enabling environment for sustainable enterprise development, social dialogue, and essential investment in basic education, health, and physical infrastructure. Effective skills development system linking education to technical training to labor market entry, and labor market entry to workplace learning and lifelong learning can help countries sustain productivity growth and translate that growth into more and better jobs. In the long run, productivity is the main determinant of income growth. Any low income, low skilled, low productivity development strategy is neither sustainable in the long term nor compatible with poverty elevation. Investing in education and skills. Investment in human capital is of great importance in the economy at the present time, as investing in human capital is the formation of a balance of skills, minds, and a high quality of human work. And this type of capital is characterized by increasing education and through work that plays a double role in increasing income in the country, and the accumulation of human capital helps in technical progress and is a source of growth. Investing in education and skills helps make an economy centric around higher value added activities and dynamic growth sectors. Policies on skills need to develop appropriate skills, encourage continuous learning, and ensure high levels of competencies and an educated number of skilled workers. Furthermore, equal opportunity increase in access to education and employment is necessary to respond to the demand for training across all sectors of society. The availability and affordability of training in new skills and occupations helps ensure against protected or underemployment, maintain workers' employability, and maintain enterprise sustainability. Skills development policies are essential to building capacities and knowledge system within the economy and society, nurturing and maintaining a sustainable process of economic and social development. The two goals are based to improve the matching of skills and reduce the cost of adaptation on a labor market perspective. They focus on developing skills in response to technological and economic change and are primarily short and medium-term goals. On the other hand, the development objective is based on the strategic role of education and the training policies in stimulating and supporting technological change, domestic and foreign investment, diversification, and competitiveness on an ongoing basis. The successful use of skills policies to help initiate and maintain and vibrant employment growth path has led to a virtuous cycle of high productivity and high growth rates. For example, in the East Asian tigers, Hong Kong, China, the Republic of Korea, and Singapore, and Celtic tiger, Ireland, and Costa Rica, the experiences of these countries show that a development strategy that combines upgrading of technology and investment in non-traditional sectors with higher value added. Diversification helps to ensure that productivity growth is combined by employment growth. Interdepartmental coordination. This strategy is based on broad public education and professional competency as the basis of social capacities or to innovate, transfer, and absorb new technologies and diversify the production structure towards higher value-added activities. Coordinating skills development with adoption of new technologies and diversification into new industrial sectors can be a challenge. An investment in human capital alone would increase the number of skilled workers, but would not necessarily increase the number of jobs in their favor. On the other hand, increased technology transfer alone in the absence of qualified workers and managers is not likely to sustain local job growth. Interdepartmental coordination, social dialogue, and support mechanism between training providers, workers, and labor providers are all important means of maintaining effective coordination. Conclusion: many countries of the world realized in order to catch up with the progress and development taking place in the world, the necessity of relying on technology. Professor Jacques Decor explained in his report to UNESCO for the year 1995 AD on the extent of technology's impact on economic life, describing global economic life will shift from the industrial ideal that dominated in the 19th and 20th centuries to an economic of knowledge, technology, and practical life. Technological progress has a tremendous impact on all areas. In the light of the new electronic environment, many concepts emerged, such as digitization, smart industries, and the fourth industrial revolution, with which traditional public service patterns retreated to a pattern based on the technological dimension. The increasing importance of electronic developments and their use in various fields posed enormous challenge to those in charge of the electronics sector in order to complete the task in the shortest possible time and with the best possible quality. Modern technology was necessary on the basis that it is the fastest way to perform these tasks. Electronic developments were the most important modern means at all. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you very much, sir. It was a nice presentation.
Thank you so much.
Riddhi? नहीं Riddhi.
Thank you so much, sir, for the presentation. Now we are going to commence with the target 8.3, promote policies to support job creation and growing enterprises. I would like to call upon the next speaker, Dr. Kavita Mathur. She has been in academics for more than a decade, working at business schools like Xavier Institute of Management and Entrepreneurship. Her research areas of interest include international trade, investment, and international trade policy, digital economy, economics of environment management, healthcare, and medical tourism. Dr. Kavita believes in continuous learning and has done numerous certification courses, to name one. She has done Global Business Certification Program from Harvard Business School online. Ma'am, I would like to invite you over here, please.
Thank you, Riddhi, for such a nice welcome, and thank you, Dr. Rashmi. It is a wonderful platform, and happy enough to share and hear a lot of discussion connected to SDG-8 and various other sub-targets as well. Thank you to be part of this, and very warm greetings from Golgothia University. To the esteemed host and the esteemed delegates here on the panel. So this is about 8.3. Before I start, let me just make it full screen. Yeah. So this is connected to 8.3, which generally talks about promoting policies to support job creation and growing enterprises. So the focus of this particular target or sub-target is majorly job creation with a focus on entrepreneurship, creativity, innovation, and more so, formalizing the growth of these small, medium enterprises as well. So it's more of also taking care of the informal sector as well. So with target 8.3, the focus is more on the development of or the orientation of the policies, such that there is this helping hand which is given, a conducive environment which is created, and the financial support which is given to the micro, small, and medium sized enterprises. To start with, let's look into the goal that the SDG has set to achieve full and productive employment and decent work for all men and women by 2030, which is not a very long time from here. So if we look at the data, what the data says connected to unemployment, when we look at this World Bank related data published by World Bank, the unemployment rate, which starts from a very lower level. So this data is from 1991 up to 2020 year. So it's starting from a very low level of around somewhere between, it must be around 4.6 here. But look at this, we are already touching it around 6.5 percentage of unemployment, and this is connected to the whole world. So when we look at this, it is very obvious that we need to work more towards the employment generation. So the IOL has stated very clearly that around 600 million new jobs need to be created by 2030, just to keep pace with the growth of the working age population. So then how this can be done? It's a big challenge. So I think before we actually look into how this has to be done, I think it's very important for us to understand the structure of the world economy. So when you look at the world economy, especially from the income basis, this green patch is connected to the high income. So when we see these green patches here on the world map, it's very few, compared to the others. So the lighter green part of it is representing the upper middle income, and the lavender and the violet here are talking about the lower middle income and the low income parts of the world. So when we look at this, there is definitely a majority of those countries which are, still yet to develop. I'm not calling them as low income countries, but then when it comes to on a development phase, they are yet to get developed. So they are on a developing path, which also means that there is a huge potential in these countries, be it the market size or be it the opportunities, there are huge. And these are definitely not those saturated markets, but then there has to be a good channelizing of the funds, the policies, directions, and so on. So when we look at these lower income or lower middle income, these are in the majority portion, which also justifies a bottom of the pyramid, which has been quoted by C.K. Prahlad, which says that when we look at these mature markets, which is definitely a very smaller portion on the pyramid, and this represents the developed world. And of course, the second piece of it is the emerging nations. And the bottom of pyramid is most of those developing countries, which are having high potential. Sorry for this picture, which is a little blurred, but then I'll explain this. Now, bottom of pyramid framework, which is given by C.K. Prahlad, very aptly suits this discussion. And wherein he says that, of course, there is private enterprise. There is this bottom of the pyramid, consumers and entrepreneurs, right? And there is a civil society, organizations, and the local government. And on the other hand, we do have our own development and aid agencies. Now, all these together are working towards the economic development and social transformation. So each one of these have their own role to play. So be it the private enterprise, without private enterprise, we cannot imagine an economy because they have a huge amount of money, capital, investment, innovation, technology. So everything is in abundance when it comes to private enterprises. Of course, when it comes to below poverty, the bottom of the pyramid, consumers and entrepreneurs, there is a huge scope. They have lots of ideas, there are a lot of skills, there are a lot of resources, labor, which is high in case of the bottom of the pyramid countries, when it comes to the developing countries. While developed countries are very high on the capital investment or technology and innovation, they are low, or they stand a little low on when it comes to the population, the volume. I'm talking about the volume. While on the other hand, when you talk about the developing countries, it's the reverse. So they might be slightly, relatively lower on capital investment technology, but then they are very high on the volume of the population. And taking case of India, we found that a larger proportion of the younger population in contrast with Japan. So on one hand, this is a scenario when it comes to the global economy. On the other hand, if you look at the enterprises, be it, I'm not just saying it's a private enterprises, but then be it the service-oriented or the manufacturing or the small-scale industries as well. These contribute a lot to the carbon dioxide emissions also. So on one hand, we have a global economy, a world economy, wherein different countries are in a different phase of economic growth and income brackets. Right. On the other hand, when it comes to the carbon dioxide emissions, because of high levels of production and a set of policies, of course, there are each and every country have their own set of policies, but then are they really very effective, and how effective are they, or how well they have been designed is something that we need to be deliberating upon. So when it comes to the lowest piece of it here, per capita, this is a carbon dioxide emission tons per capita. Okay, so here we see those African countries, and then slowly you start seeing the emergence of Asia, part of Asia, part of Europe here, and US here. And then these are a little bit of those UAE countries. So on this extreme, we have Congo, and the other extreme, we have Qatar, right? So even though in most of the countries, the amount of carbon emission is declining, but still it's been very alarming, and we need to be really very, very conscious when we decide on what to be manufactured, how to be manufactured, more than anything, how to be manufactured, and who are consuming these goods, and how are they consumed, how long are they consumed, how are they disposed, right? So each and every piece of it has to be taken into consideration when we are fighting or kind of trying to solve these kind of solutions, which are very, very global in nature. You know, not just the developed, even the developing countries must also come in hand. So basically, we need to look into the triple bottom line, which talks about the economic, the 3 Ps, the economic, environmental, and the social aspect of it as well. So the people, the profits, the people, and the planet as well. So considering all these 3 dimensions, there has to be a good amount of focus on sustainability when it comes to job creation. So it's a combination of a triple bottom line as well as enterprise, which makes it to be a social enterprise. So I guess now, you know, each and every country, you know, it's not just that we deliberate at a global level, but then when it comes to execution, it is at a micro level, and that is each country and each state, each city and each town. So we need to be really focusing upon this bottom of the pyramid, which is basically who are very high in number, and these are these micro, small and medium enterprises, which can be, of course, social enterprises, an enterprise with the concern of a social aspect. So I'm just taking a small piece of a sector here, which is related to e-waste management in India. So I'm just taking this to get more, better picture, so that, we can possibly deliberate a little more on the policy aspects. E-waste management has become a huge concern, problem, an issue, depending upon, which country we are talking about. Why? Basically, because of these rapid technological advancements that we see. There is every day you have a new model being released in the market, be it iPhone or whatever phones, whatever laptops, the new technology, be it the scanning machines or whatever we're talking about, the white goods. There are always, every day we see new models in the market, and people would like to, because the purchasing power is increasing, they would definitely like to buy those latest version of the products. So there is a lot of disposal of these products also. So finally, I mean, these goods lose their economic value, even if it is used to a proper number of years also. Finally, at the end of the cycle of the product, they lose this economic value through the consumption, and they return back to the environment. Either they are disposed. Now, when we say they are disposed, then how responsible are we when we dispose these products, and more so the electronic products, the e-waste, basically. Now, e-waste is such kind of a waste wherein it can be recycled into the production process, and there are a good amount of benefits, that we see in case of recycle of e-waste. So it's basically has gained a lot of attention, in fact, across the globe, because one is because of its large portion which has been generated, and the feasible economic benefits that are, that can be got through the recycling of the e-waste. So when you look at the e-waste, global e-waste market, it stands up to almost 50 billion currently, and it is been registered growing at the rate of 23.5% during the period of 2014 to 2020. So it's not just that it's one of the, it's not just that the waste which is generated at developed countries or developing countries. Each and every country has their own kind of products, electronic products, which get into the waste streams. So according to the US Environmental Protection Agency, Europeans produce approximately 20 kgs of e-waste per person per year, while the US has, it produces around 7 kgs per person per year. When this is a scenario, then and when it is having a lot of benefits of recycling, and it is quite profitable as a business, so it is gaining a lot of attention. Coming to the Indian e-waste market, India stands among the top 5 in the world, besides China, the US, Japan, and Germany. Among the top 10 cities generating the e-waste in India, Mumbai ranks first. That produces the highest percentage of e-waste. Being the commercial center of the country, it's definitely quite possible. However, when it comes to there are many other states like Tamil Nadu, 13% of it is recycled, waste is recycled. Uttar Pradesh, 10% of the waste is recycled. So when it comes to the generation of the waste and the recycling of the waste, there is a huge gap again. And the next question that comes up, and the major focus of my discussion, is how is it recycled? What are its side effects? Even though there are lots of profits, right? So, of total e-waste produced, only 20% is documented. So there is also, a good amount of e-waste which is received, recycled, and money is made out of it. But however, it doesn't get recorded. Why? Because it's majorly in the informal sector. So according to ASCOM, Delhi alone gets around, apart from the locally generated waste, it gets around 86% of the electronic waste from the developed countries. So India imports, or rather the other countries, developed countries, export their, the e-waste to India. And once it is imported, of course, it has its own value chain here, in India, wherein there are a lot of, it gets, there are bidders for it, and then that's how it floats into the dismantling and segregation of the material, and then recycling the e-waste. So basically, dismantling and segregation of these materials happen in Delhi. And India has been lately most favorite destination to most of these developed countries to export their e-waste, basically because one reason is it becomes very expensive to get it recycled in their own country, and it's always much more cheaper for them to export that e-waste to countries like India. So so then the next question is like, are the policies allowing for this? So when it comes to the policies, of course, the hazardous waste rules, which of 2008, it says that import of hazardous waste for the disposal is not permitted. However, there is a scope for the exporters and importers to do this kind of trade, export and import of e-waste. Why? Because EXIM policy permits the import of second-hand computers that are not older than 10 years, besides allowing the imports of computers in the form of donation. So here there is this scope of, be it for the developed countries to export it, or be it for India to import the e-waste. So thus making it, both of them, able to, get this e-waste from the other part of the world. And this gets added to the locally generated waste as well. Although e-waste, when we compare it to the other waste, it only forms 2% of the landfill mass. But however, the amount of effects that the impact that it brings on the soil, water, environment, air, quality of air, and all, it's very, very hazardous. It contains almost 70% of hazardous waste in it because of those heavy metals in it. So basically, it's 95% of the e-waste generated is generally, in the initial level, it is dismantled and segregated in the informal sector, wherein the process is very, very rudimentary. So here is a concern, because it's either, they either kind of dismantle it without, any kind of mask. They don't wear masks. They neither have hand gloves, and they just use burn the motherboard to kind of loosen certain wires and the certain elements of the motherboard. So just to segregate that and separate those pieces of aluminum and so and so. So this causes various health hazards, wherein this is the table, which actually from the monitor. So these are the parts of the computers. This is what has been recovered, and the impact that it has on the environment and the people's health who are actually getting involved in it. So printers, the cartridge is of most use. The motor, which is been taken out of the printers, they're getting into the toy industry and so on and so forth. So copper, aluminum, and even to some extent gold can be recovered from the recycling of e-waste. So when it is, but then the concern here is when it is not done in a proper way. Sorry, just excuse me. The battery getting discharged. Just yeah. So sorry for that. So basically, the respiratory system of the people who get involved is getting affected in the whole process. So similarly, the kidneys and so these are, it has its own impact on the health of the people, the eyes, the skin, who are actually involved in this process. Now, but then when as far as it's done in informal sectors, the major concern is about the process that is being adopted for recycling. While there are a good number of recycling units in India, so e-Parisara happens to be one of those recycling units which is a star performer, and they follow a very, very systematic and a scientific method of recycling, which includes non-incineration technology of consisting of dismantling, segregation, shredding of these various parts of the e-waste, crushing and pulverizing, and density separation is also done, something which is very, very in a very technical way. And there are good amount of R&D investments also which are done. However, even in the formal sector also, this is a process chart wherein the quick residue that you get, or the output that you get, is the epoxy powder, which is generally used to make the souvenirs, and the copper sulfate. There is also the gold which can be extracted. But however, in India, the technology is not yet so advanced that the gold which has been extracted can be actually used to make ornaments. The gold that is actually extracted is used to go for doing gold coating for castings and things like that. So the concerns here are, one is the abundant supply, and which is majorly into the informal sector. Recovering of precious metals like gold, platinum, this requires a very specialized and advanced equipments, even though it's very, very profitable. But then even the formal recyclers are also not able to invest so much of money. So this calls for an intervention of the policies, the governments, and the think tanks as well, so as to support them. Social enterprises thus remain marginal in terms of recovering the costs, especially in the formal sectors, and generating sufficient returns on the investments. So the need of the hour is a very systematic framework for the waste collection, responsible end-of-life management of e-waste. End-of-life management of e-waste, it actually includes a reuse of the functional electronics, and refurbish and repair. So basically, it focuses on 3 R's: reduce, recover, and recycle. Of course, taking care of the 3 P's: people, planet, and profits. So the policy facilitation. So what is it that we are actually kind of seeing as a change in India? So especially when it comes to the policies, how supporting are these policies? The e-waste, basically, the e-waste rule enacted in the year 2011 under the Environment Protection Act of 1986 included e-waste as one of those concerns, and they brought in rules to enable recovery and reuse of useful material of e-waste, thus reducing this hazardous waste. However, for the first time, something like extended producer responsibility was introduced, which made manufacturers liable for a safer disposal of electronic waste. This, however, did not move it did not make much of difference when it comes to the expected results. And there were a new set of e-waste rules which popped up in the year 2016. And as per these, there were the producers, or rather the recyclers were facilitated, and the producers, of course, were facilitated with something called as producer responsibility organization. So the producer responsibility organization were authorized to or financed collectively or individually by producers, who would actually take care of or the responsibility of the collection and channelizing of these e-waste, which is supposed to be the a very, very challenging part of it, of a challenging part of the business. The Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change in the year 2018 further amended these rules, channelizing the waste generated at a more micro level, authorizing the dismantlers and the recyclers to formalize. Now, this is something which is really appreciable, well thought of a policy, but however, at practical, at the shop floor, is it really happening is something that we need to be deliberating upon. So the dismantlers and the recyclers had to, however, register with the Central Pollution Control Board that continuously monitored the method and the quality. Now, when I said we need to deliberate upon, is it really happening on the real scenario, is why? Because there are a good number of terms and conditions and compliances part for even for the dismantlers and recyclers to get themselves registered in the CPCD, which makes them not everybody eligible for the same. So this is basically the e-waste management of the industry here. So this is the industry. So they have the collection units, which is done through the PROs, as we just now discussed. And there is this, they collect it, pile the stock, and then dismantling and filtering happens, recycling in an environmental friendly way. Disposal of the minimal waste which is generated is done. And the distribution sale of the material recovered is done here. So this is the framework. And although the benefits the benefits are very clear from the recycling of the e-waste, it is relatively low, and the channelization of the e-waste generated by the household seems to be still a concern. The logistics involved in the collection methods is something that we need to be deliberating and working upon. And the biggest challenge is in informal sector, being bigger, it has to get aligned with the formal sector. So we need, the policies need to be focusing on that. Policy amendments like which we just now discussed as EPR and PROs, they would help to create wealth. However, there has to be a good connect between the two. So one such kind of dot which needs to be connected here is the connecting the formal and the informal sector together. So so recently, however, the ministry has tried their level best to do and have their own, own limitation in implementation, the producers level. So a systematic alignment among the stakeholders in the value chain is something which is expected. And recyclers, they are doing the best from their part as a CSR activity. They're educating the vendors and the recyclers from the informal sector, and they're trying to involve them into their work and production processes. So an initiation by the municipal corporation would be a great help for possibly segregating this waste at the household levels, because from household also, whenever we buy new phones, we really do not know what to do with the old phones. And when we dispose it off also, if we are aware and if we are being very sensitive towards the environment, then we dispose it off very, very responsibly into the e-waste bin only. But then in most of the cases, it just gets into the domestic garbage which is generated. So there is a nudge which is required from the government to promote the investments as well in this area, and a continuous motivation in the form of incentives and support to excel in their operations has to be given by the government. E-Parisara, which I was just mentioning, the government has supported E-Parisara as to replicate its operations, which it did in Bangalore. The same they have supported to replicate the operations at Hyderabad. So this is so such kind of occurrences should be more in numbers, so that there are many more recyclers who gets involved, and we are we will be able to reduce this waste which is generated. So with the latest trend of startups in India and Make in India concept, it's the right time to attract investments from the private players for a truly digital India. So we look forward for a much more investor-friendly policies from the government. Saying so, thank you so much for this opportunity, and thank you for such a patience hearing here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Now it's time to turn to the target 8.4, that is improve resource efficiency in consumption and production. I would like to invite our next speaker for today's event, Lena Jennifer. She has a good range of research, data analysis, and teaching experiences. Her area of academic expertise include business management and marketing, with both theoretical and empirical research and teaching interest. She is very creative, enthusiastic, with strong motivational analytical skills, and carries problem-solving skills as well. She has published many research papers and books and has signed various MOUs between the foreign universities. Ma'am, I would like to invite you to please enhance our knowledge.
Thank you. The previous person, can you able to stop sharing? Thank you. Can you able to see my sharing? Can you able to see the slide?
I cannot see the slide, ma'am, but it is written that you have started sharing your screen.
Once again. Now is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. First of all, good evening, each and everyone. I'd like to thank all the organizer, City University Ludhiana, Dean Dr. Reshmi Gujarati, for giving an opportunity. And second one, University of Moin, it is Italy, Intradepreneur, Global Academic Platform UK, then for conducting UN Sustainable Development Goal 8. Today, my topic is about improve resource efficiency in consumption and production. So before going to start, it is really a very important topic for the current scenario, sustainable development. Once again, I'd like to thank each and everyone for inviting me for this particular webinar. So my topic, it is about the goal 8, SDG goal 8. So the main purpose of goal 8 is to promote development. Once again, I'm unable to see. Once again. Wait. Okay. Goal 8, it is promote development oriented policy that support production activity and creating job creation, entrepreneurship, creativity and innovation, and encourage the formulation and growth of micro, small and medium-sized enterprises, including access to financial services. So the main goal is to create opportunity. So they are encouraging the innovation and creativity among the entrepreneurship for starting their own startup for the small or micro and medium-sized enterprises, and they are providing some financial assistance, financial services to them also. This is the main sustainable development for Goal 8. So what do you understand by the term Sustainable Development 8? So sustainable development means using our resources wisely without damaging the environment, and keeping in the mind the need of future generation. We have to think for the future generation. This can be achieved by making a right balance between using the resources to meet our present need and conserving them for future. That is a main term for sustainable development. How we are going to use the particular resources and how we should not damage the resources. That is the main thing. So sustainable consumption, my topic is about consumption and production. So sustainable consumption and production refers to the use of service and related product which respond to basic need and bring a better quality of life by minimizing the use of natural resources and toxic material, as well as the emission of waste and pollutant over the life cycle of service or product. So before going to that, what is the meaning of consumption and what is the meaning of production? Production in the sense the raw material is converted into final product. Sometimes they are providing as a maybe raw material for another product that is called as an industrial product. Sometimes they are preparing a final product. Say for example, Samsung company, they are manufacturing a product. It is a final product, mobile we are using. At the same time, you can find speedometer company. The speedometer company, it is a Precol or like that, so many companies are there. They are manufacturing a raw material for another manufacturing organization. It is called as a industrial product. So the production and consumption is a very simple word. Production is a process of conversion of raw material into final product. For that, they need 4 factors of production. That means place, price, product, and promotion. Without that, they can't able to manufacture a product. But consumption is the use of a product, utilizing the product. I am using Colgate. That means I'm utilizing the product. I'm using the particular product and measured as a purpose of end of the production line, goods and services. Sometimes the production, the consumption may be a services, or sometimes it is a production. Products. The product may be sometime I'm using final product, sometime semi-finished product. So it is like that. Production is a process. Production means it is a process for conversion of raw material into final product. Consumption is the use of product. That means measured as a purchase of end of production. That is called as consumption. So here we are currently consuming more resources than exceeding the planet capacity. Exceeding the planet capacity. What is the meaning? That main thing is population is more, or the demand for the product is more, or the consumption is more, or the supply is also more. We are currently consuming more resources than ever, exceeding the planet capacity. That's why it is like that. We can able to see the example. I have shown you some example, the polluted water. So it meanwhile, the waste and pollution grows and gap between rich and poor is widening. Between the rich and poor, it's totally widening. The line is wider more than every year. It is widening more than actual. So health, education, equity, and empowerment are all adversely affected. Everything, if the population is increasing, the consumption pattern is increasing, so it is affecting the health, it is affecting the education, it is affecting equity, empowerment, and all are adversely affected. That's why I can show you an example. The poor is getting poorer, and widening between the rich and poor we can able to identify. So the main thing is consumption and production. We have to protect our planet. So the next one, I hope you can understand with the help of this example. And next one, I'm going to explain about how can the resource, place, price, promotion, product, how can the resource, natural resources, like you can take an example of copper mines, you can take an example of coal mines, how it can be the resources efficiency may be improved, how it can be. So what a company can do to become more resource efficient? So first one, save. Another one, recycling and reuse. So save the resources in every possible way, in every possible place, considering sustainable and environmental impact. Some particular time we can able to reuse the paper. Sometime that's why in India they stop manufacturing plastic covers, because plastic cover, it is taking very long time to dispose into the soil. So the composing it taking time. So we have to protect our environment. So save the resources in every possible way and in every possible place, considering the sustainability and environmental impact. Then recycling, what we can able to recycle each and everything. There is that's why they can able to give, we can in the garbage you can find glass item, recycle item like that, because they can able to the organization, the government, they can recycle the thing. Say for example, the paper, they can able to recycle and they can make use of another one. So recycle and reuse is very, very important. Increase internal reuse and recycling of waste material and element of the product, that is repair services and all. They can able to repair the thing and they can able to reduce. We have to reduce these things and make use of recycling. So why is sustainable consumption and production is so important? Sustainable consumption and production aim at doing more and better with less. That means increasing net welfare gain from economic activities by reducing the resources use, degradation, pollution, while increasing the quality of life. Say for example, nowadays people are using solar light. That means they are using sustainable consumption. So how we can able to gain welfare gain from economic activity by reducing the resources use and degradation. Say for example, when we are using the electricity, they have to use the coal, then only we can able to get electricity. If we are using natural resources like solar plant, we can able to save our natural resources. So that is a sustainable consumption and production. So how we can able to reduce the resources use and how we can able to degradation. Sometimes if the so many factories are increasing, in the sense pollution is also increasing. So what type of, how we can able to decrease the pollution level? So while increasing the quality of life, the factory is going to increase, then pollution level is also increasing. So what is what we can able to do? Only one thing, we have to safeguard our natural resources like forest and plants. We have to, plantation should be more in order to reduce the pollution. What is sustainable production? Sustainable production is creation of goods and service using process and system that are non-polluting, conserving of energy and natural resources, economically viable, safe and healthy of worker, community and consumer. So here also you can able to find the natural resources. That means they can able to get electricity from windmill. They are not going to heat anything, because if it is artificial electricity, in the sense they are using lignite and coal, then only we can able to get electricity. But if it is a natural resources like windmill, it is not polluting. It is conserving the energy and we can able to consume the energy, and it is not pollution. It is not creating any harmful health disease to the any people. So it is safe. We have to encourage all this thing. That is called the sustainable production. We have to increase. Another example I clearly mentioned, we have to decrease the pollution level. By how we can able to do? We can able to improve lot of plant. We have to protect our trees. We have to protect our plants in the environment. Then only it is possible. Then how does the sustainable development related to production and consumption? Achieving economic growth and sustainable development require we urgently reduce our ecological footprint by changing the way we produce and consume goods and resources. This can able to help with food security, shift us towards a more resource efficient economy. Say for example, here also the waste, in the sense we have to put it in the waste box, and how we can able to consume and stock for future. We should not waste our things, because there are so many wastages there. That is according to the index, it's clearly shown wastage, lot of wastage, all the garbages they are throwing in the lakes and they are posting in the river. So it is polluted. That polluted in the sense it is polluting the fish, those who are living in the, those the hybrids, it is living in the sea, it is creating pollution. So we have to take care of how the sustainable development related to production and consumption. So the next one, we are talking about why it is importance of consumption and production. In modern time, consumption has been given the most important role in the income and employment theory of Keynes. This theory explains if the consumption does not increase, the demand for the goods will decrease, then production will fail. It may lead to unemployment. So here I gave you an example. Here they are manufacturing unit. So in the manufacturing unit, the demand, based on the demand for the product, is started increasing. So the manufacturing unit is also they are producing more number of product. Sometime what will happen, if they are going to reduce the production, it will create unemployment opportunity. See, you can find how many people are working under one particular industry. According to the Indian census, majority 70% of the people employed in retail sector, it is like that. So that means retail sector, in the sense they are the consumption of products, it is started increasing. So how we can able to give more importance to that all economic activities, we have to consider supply, demand, price of the product, consumption, everything we have to take it care. The end of all economic activities, it is creating job opportunity, index of standard of living, because when the company is manufacturing a product, definitely the per capita income is started increasing. So national income is also, it is increasing. So they can able to get the employment opportunity. That means standard of living is also started increasing. Then sources of production, what type of production you're manufacturing, you're doing. Say for example, some particular product, they are manufactured, the production, it is only for industrial product or consumer product. Sometime you are going to sell the product for export. That means you are getting foreign exchange. So it is creating job opportunity for so many people. Then how this economic theory it is implemented. So all these things are interrelated. That is importance of consumption and production. So nowadays, majority of the companies, they are using digitalization, because the whole world, it is under digitalization. So the consumption is also under digitalization. So main thing is demand for the product is high and the usage of the product is also high. If it is going to decrease in the sense, definitely it is creating unemployment problem. The next one, it's about what is the importance of sustainable production. Sustainable manufacturing can also very cost effective. By improving the efficiency of your employment and process, you can lower energy consumption. That means decreasing manufacturing time, reducing wastage, use less material, and provide significant cost saving for you and your consumer. Nowadays, I can give you an example of Nestle company. Everybody, you are aware about the KitKat company. Nestle KitKat product. So if they are using automatic machines, they are using robotic, that means very cost effective. By improving the efficiency of equipment, they are using it because the demand for the KitKat started increasing. The demand is very high. The supply is also very high. So what they are doing, they started manufacturing automatic machines, robotic they are using. So they are using less labor, but they are using high hygiene, high level of hygienic product. So improving efficiency of your equipment and processes, you can lower energy consumption, and it is decreasing manufacturing time and reducing the wastage of product. In case of KitKat company, in the case study clearly mentioned, they reduce the wastage. Actually, the reduce compared to the manual, and the nowadays they are using the latest technology. They reduce the wastage and use less material for manufacturing and achieve the demand for the product. So it is a cost saving for you as well as for your customer. The next one, it's about why sustainable consumption is so important, why the UN is giving more, why they are giving more emphasis towards the sustainable development. So United Nations Environment defines sustainable consumption as the use of material products. What type of products you are using? Energy, or how much you are using energy, and immaterial services in such a way that minimize the impact on the environment. How we are going to it is creating impact towards the environment, so the human needs can met not only in the present, but it's also for future generation. We have to think about the future generation, then only we can able to sustain our environment. The next one, it's about how can we achieve sustainable consumption. To ensure the sustainable consumption and production practice, necessarily we have to respect the biophysical boundary of the planet. That everybody are aware about that biophysical boundary, and to reduce the current global consumption rate in order to fit with biophysical capacity to produce ecosystem service and benefit. Ecosystem in the sense nowadays actually they are creating, you can take care of the natural resources like a forest and all. They are taking care of it is they are taking care of ecosystem. They're taking care of the, otherwise what will happen if they're removing the trees? They are going to destroy the trees. The climate in that area, it started decreasing, and sometime what will happen, the hunting some rare species, that and all, it is reducing that one. So how you can able to reduce the global consumption rates in order to fit the biophysical capacity to produce ecosystem services and benefit. So here I gave a clear example. Here they are having a lot of energies are there. If it is a less polluted energy, less polluted environment in the sense, definitely it will help you for each and every person for good health and all. Nowadays actually if you are going to live with pollution, that lung disease is there. It is naturally affecting the human being. So if you are going to take care of our environment, definitely we can able to save our energy, our system, and our country. The next one, how we can able to improve responsible consumption and production. Global food wastage per capita, ensuring efficient and sustainable use of natural resources by 2030, fighting pollution, reducing the overall wastage generation, and improving the management of chemical. We have to reduce the chemical toxic wastage, supporting the company translation from green infrastructure practice. That is very, very important. We have to improve the green practices. Then only we can able to protect our planet. I hope you enjoy my class. Enjoy my lecture. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thanks a lot. It was really, really very valuable. We also have Professor Dr. Buran Özkan between us. He is Professor of Agriculture Economics at Ecdizin University, Antalya, Turkey, and he is the Executive Director of Tradepreneur Global Platform. He is the backbone of the Tradepreneur Global Platform. He holds an MSc from Reading University, UK, and a PhD from Kukorva University. His principal areas of research are agriculture business management, production economics, energy economics, and food security. He has authored over 300 publications, including 250 referred journal articles. He is the founder of the Department of Agriculture Economics at Ecdizin University and has chaired the department for more than 15 years. He is the chair of the Agribusiness Management Division within the department and director of social science at the Vocational School of Agdenis University. You are welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to welcome all of you to this summit. So thank you very much also for your great presentations. It is a great pleasure for me to take the floor at this summit. As well as I listened to the presentation, especially Lina, the last speaker, I thought that, or it is for me, there is a need to engage in more concerted efforts at achieving SDG-8 because of it is antecedent and impacts on the world. The achievement of this goal is now more threatened than ever with the outbreak of COVID-19, which has affected economies of countries in the world. Both micro and macroeconomics of the world have been impacted by this novel virus. Developing countries have been more impacted by this challenge due to their dependence on developed countries for sustainability occasioned by low technology development in these countries. Remember that ILO has described rising unemployment as not only frightening, but a threat to global development through achievement of Goal 8. Fatukasi regarded unemployment as one of the greatest economic problems facing policymakers in developing countries and Africa in particularly because it is so endangering. Africa is understandably grappling with various development challenges, including unemployment and inequality triggered by lack or limited access to economic opportunities. So many factors have contributed to competition for economic opportunities by people around the world. These factors include population pressure, which has made accessibility to economic factors of production became extremely difficult, if not impossible. Currently, the world faces a new wave of challenges that jeopardize achieving decent job for all targets in the world by 2030. Not only the current generation, but also future generation, which is outbreak of novel coronavirus. So as a conclusion, the quest for achievement of SDGs is on course and should be supported by relevant stakeholders to ensure the targets are met. This could be achieved by mitigating the threats posed by the pandemic to vulnerable population and teeming youths. All countries, particularly developing ones, need to take immediate actions to strengthen efforts aimed at providing employment opportunities to the all populace. The academic community should ensure they come up with the research and programs that itemize way forward to economic challenges bedeviling the world currently, particularly in developing countries. So I would like to thank all the speakers for joining this summit and presenting and sharing their views for us. Also, thanks to Traitner Global Academic Platform and CT University and University of Molise to express my view at this conference. But my deepest thanks go to Professor Dr. Rashmi Gujrati for her hard work and leadership in organizing this summit and the conference. So finally, I congratulate all people for their success in the organization of this summit. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. And I would like to give a big thanks to all my speakers, those who have given a very nice presentation and highlight a lot of things. And all the target has been focused very well. And you all have given your precious time. It's a very important for us because everybody is very busy in their university. But then also you have took some time for us and given this opportunity to us and our students to listen you. Thank you very much, sir. And thank you all of you, those who have given and participates here. Thank you very much. We will meet tomorrow again. Next target is 8.5678. That is going tomorrow again. Thank you very much, sir. And namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you very much.